and something that I think that really kind of plays into that too is so later on in the article it even talks about how past remote viewing they even had the possibility of being able to like pass through time and experience things from the past. And this is all obviously through the CIA done as psychological warfare. So they're trying to obviously gain more information from other countries or organizations or things like that. So, from my understanding, they're trying to send people basically into the past, and even to some extent, I think it was like just a small percent, of like 5% of the people who went through this study were successful enough to like travel into the future and even see things that way, which is, and for me, what happens to the ego if you don't exist in just one time period? So, I mean, if you're experiencing, different things from different times, I mean, how does your, how does that affect you? You know what I mean?
Well, I wanna dive into that because that's a really good topic. But first, I want to address the CIA part of things. Like this article, this article talks about the
Oh,
CIA deal. Like, does that
uh-huh.
mean it's more credible, or does that mean it's more structured, or like what does that mean? Because when you have other people who discuss stuff like this, I mean, we had witches, we had curators, chemists, alchemists, way back in the day that we've read about and stuff, and now we have the CIA is doing an experiment on this kind of stuff. It's just worded differently, per se. So what?
Exactly.
And we talked about how does information affect ego. So when you found that article and then you shared it with others, that was information that you found. But does that mean like it's more credible than some dude on YouTube talking about his experience?
And technically, no, but according to society and how everybody else's ego functions, the CIA has a form of credibility, you know, in like what do you call it? Like the conglomerate ego, I guess, or something. You know
It's
what I
almost
mean?
like the common space. Like the
Yeah,
like
that's a good word
this
for it.
this physical area that we're in is like the common space. Like when you're born as a baby and then you come in and then you're told, well, this is how the world works. This is what we know. You're going to go to school and you're going to do this. It's like the common space, right? Where like as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in that common space, like everything should be fine theoretically, you know. Um, then we can move or recognize that common space because the common space is very structured. It's very structured by things
Hmm.
that have been around
Oh yeah,
before you, right? So these structures, we don't need to break them down. We just need to recognize them as an individual in order to not be a part of
exactly.
it. Uh, so the question you had, what was the topic that I wanted to get back to after talking about the CIA? Time, right?
Time.
So time, we perceive time as linear, left to right, or beginning to end, and he discusses that time isn't that. Time is just time. Everything is right.
It's a
Everything is
zone.
and has happened, will happen, is, and you're just moving your frequency or energy to that part of time because time, I guess, time isn't on that line. Time is just like
Hmm.
there. Well, he's saying there is no time. So to get to those different sectors, you're resonating with that frequency to be in that sector, that sector, that sector, and that's what he's essentially saying is time travel, right? Is just changing that frequency to
Yup.
be in that particular moment. How that is affected on the quantum level, I don't know, and I don't even know if it relates to this same realm. it may be a completely different
Yeah.
thing. Like when you time warp, maybe when you time warp, that's a whole nother reality for you that you've time warped. But to everybody else, you never time warped.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do the people, in this reality experience when someone else time warps?
Yeah. And I think in that article, didn't he kind of tried to stay away from deliberating it as or as talking about it as time is more he described it as change, right? He used that as kind of a descriptor as identifying what time was that, as time goes on, things change, right? It's
Yup.
not going to stay the same. That's the only constant. Um, and then what you were saying, Max, right there about, is that even, no one may even realize that he time warped or time traveled, right? And if we look at it in the sense that we've been talking about recently, about how reality is possibly deemed by all the people, all of the consciousnesses, right? That how they believe and what structures they have helped deem what the reality is around them, it is time travel is almost at that point just going to another reality because people way back in the day, let's say, 1200 BC, how those people thought and their structures of belief that they had were probably far different from ours, right? A lot of people thought the earth was flat, and there's definitely much more of a religious aspect of understanding, these deities and stuff like that. So their reality was very different. It could have been
Just think
exactly how
about
they say.
climbing a mountain back in the day, or what a mountain appeared to be to those people back in the day. And now we just, go up them all the time.
Yeah, for us, it's just normal. But so what I'm saying is I'm kind of agreeing with Max here that as time changes, right? As existence goes through that change, the differing bodies of consciousness that inhabit that point in change may have separate realities, you know? Maybe the Egyptian gods did exist because all those people believed in them, right? So the world was a fantasy world in that reality, but as time has changed and as we've grown to have different belief structures, our reality has changed around it.